could be very bad. Fire crews tackled 4 fires in the Albuquerque bosque within the same amount of hours, and this morning neighbors are on edge that someone is setting them on purpose. News 13's Catherine Mazzone is live near 8th and Bridge, where crews spent the night handling all the hot spots there. Catherine.
Good morning, Adam, and we have been watching fire crews coming in and out of the bosque all morning. You know, this spot is closest to the most recent fire of all 4 fires that we saw yesterday. And with these dry conditions, some are wondering whether someone's doing this on purpose.
It sure seems like it. There doesn't seem to be any natural reason for any fires to just start here, so it sure does seem suspicious.
The first fire broke out in the bosque south of Tingley Beach yesterday afternoon. An alert walker called it in, but soon after, crews were off to the next one. They responded to 3 separate bosque fires, all in an area south of 8th and Bridge just after 5. Crews from AFD, Bernalillo County, and Corrales were able to contain the fire and keep it from spreading. Fire crews say it's too early to determine if a firebug is to blame.
Since it is the 4th fire within a 4 or 5 hour time period, once the fires are declared under control, investigators are on scene and they will begin their investigation to determine a cause and determination at that time.
Now, as we mentioned, crews were out here last night taking care of any hot spots, and as I mentioned earlier, we've seen them out here this morning even. Now, AFD says those that called 911 to report the fires didn't see anyone in the immediate area. Adam, back to you.
All right, Catherine, thank you. Crews want to remind you there are fire restrictions in place, so that means no smoking, no campfires, and no barbecues in the bosque.
Developing now, authorities in Santa Fe are investigating the death of a 47-year-old man. This after police found his body in a parking lot just yesterday. Police say the discovery happened just before 1 at the Pecos Trail Inn. There was no missing persons report filed on the man. Investigators say it does not appear that foul play was involved. An autopsy will be performed to determine an official cause of death. His name has not been released at this time. The charges will stick for the 38-year-old man accused of blinding his 15-year-old girlfriend. A Bernalillo County grand jury indicted David Cordova in the attack just last month. Police say Cordova forced the girl into his car at gunpoint, beat her, stabbed her in the eye with a pair of pliers, then refused to take her to the hospital. This after someone threatened to report the illegal relationship. Cordova is still in jail facing several charges, including kidnapping and child abuse.
Time is now 6:05. A peeping Tom is back behind bars this morning. Dylan Maho was in court yesterday. In 2013, Maho was naked outside a neighbor's window, spying on a 14-year-old girl taking a shower. The girl's father caught him and beat him up. Maho was given probation. In court, he was accused of violating that probation on 3 different occasions. Prosecutors say he tried to open a store that would sell video game accessories near 2 schools, among other violations.
There's also been a continued pattern of deceit on the behalf of Mr. Maho.
I'm not comfortable with releasing Mr. Maho under the circumstances of this case.
Under New Mexico law, a peeping Tom does not have to register as a sex offender. Maho is in jail without bond. He'll be back in court in 2 weeks, where a judge could revoke his probation altogether. Police are hoping that you will recognize the man in the video that we're about to show you. He's accused of stealing a tip jar from a Rebel donut store twice. The video shows the culprit grab the jar and jog out of the donut shop on Wyoming. The second time around, he's wearing the same hat as he walks into the store and runs off with the jar again. And take a look at this guy. If you recognize him, you're asked to give Albuquerque police a call. They need your help in tracking him down.
On to this, we're getting to the bottom of allegations by 2 employees at Albuquerque's animal shelters are knowingly adopting out dangerous dogs. The employees filed complaints with the city's Inspector General's office. The animal welfare director tells us some of the claims are not true. But according to the second in command at the shelter, Jim Ludwig, and behavioral analyst Carolyn Hidalgo, more than 200 dogs left the shelter after failing a behavioral test. They say the department director knowingly released dogs into the community that would have showed aggression toward people or pets. The director says it is not true.
We don't believe those dogs are fundamentally unsafe. There's many degrees of dog issues and dog behavior.
The shelters have put a temporary stop on adopting out dogs that have failed a portion of the behavior test. The director says those dogs will be retested by an outside party before deciding if they will live or die. Now on to developing news this morning. A new view of what happened inside the doomed German flight now that a cell phone video has been recovered.
Several media outlets there are reporting that it recorded the final moments before the airliner went down. According to those reports, the video captures banging coming from the front of the plane where the pilot was working to get inside the cockpit. Investigators believe they hear the plane's right wing scrape a mountain and then the cabin abruptly jerks. The screams intensify and then silence. It's unclear if the video was taken by a passenger or a crew member. French police yesterday called those reports, though, completely wrong, saying they don't believe rescue staff could have leaked a memory card among items found. This report comes a day after the airline Lufthansa revealed that it knew the co-pilot Andreas Lubitz suffered from serious depression 6 years ago. Let's turn to a live look over New York this morning, early in the morning there, where police are trying to track down a man involved in a confrontation with another driver claiming to be an officer. Here's what happened. That confrontation was caught on camera. It's gone viral.
Yeah, it all started after an Uber driver honked his horn at the driver because he did not use his blinker. The man then flashed his lights in an unmarked Hyundai. When the supposed officer approaches a car, a passenger captures a tirade, all on cell phone video. Take a look.
People are allowed to park in this car, park their cars on the side of the street without your interference, and then your opinion about what's going on. Okay? Especially when the person you're doing it to are the police.
Okay, so police were able to track down the man as a NYPD detective who is now facing suspension and a reassignment. Some quick facts here. Experts say if an unmarked car pulls you over and you're leery, call 911 or drive to the nearest police station. Also, ask to see a badge. Officers are trained to show them during traffic stops. Another local horse to this. The DA says APD is sitting on information that she needs to do her job. We got a copy of a letter sent from the DA to the chief of police. In it, she asks why some high-profile police shooting cases are taking so long to get to her office. In all, the letter lists 13 cases, 10 of them are older than 7 months. Neither APD nor the DA's office would comment for the story. APD did post this on Twitter and on its Facebook account, a picture of 3 binders of their investigation into the Christopher Chase case, now 17 months old, saying cases must be investigated, compiled, and thoroughly reviewed before they're sent to the DA. Meanwhile, this is generating a lot of buzz around the internet with public comment filling the department's Facebook page. Here is what some people had to say about the spat that the department posted on its social media sites. Chris H. took the side of APD, saying, "It's time for a new DA. It's time for change." Meanwhile, Trace G. says, quote, "I wonder if the shortage of officers is part of the delay," end quote. This also gave voice to some asking about certain cases, such as the Justin Koch trial and Timothy Carlson. This is the first time APD has been so open on a controversial issue with the DA, especially on social media such as Facebook.
Time's coming up on 6:33. Heart-stopping moments for a Santa Fe County Sheriff's deputy in this video. You'll want to watch here as he's blinded by headlights and then has to swerve as a wrong-way driver comes right at him on State Road 14. At the very last second, he was able to avoid a head-on crash, but then the deputy pulls a U-turn to go after the driver. Moments later, the deputy finds that the drivers ended up on the shoulder after swerving. Deputies arrested Patricio Quintana of Bernalillo for aggravated DWI, open container, reckless driving, and a probation violation. Quintana pleaded not guilty and was released from jail last Wednesday. If convicted, this will be his second DWI. Also happening today, a hearing is scheduled for an auto shop owner accused of scheming. New Mexico Attorney General Hector Balderas is threatening to arrest him if he doesn't follow the law. He also wants Robert Mitchell's customers to get their cars back. Last month, the district judge ordered the shop, a reliable engine rebuilder, to close. That's after Mitchell failed to appear at a hearing. He was supposed to explain how he was going to pay restitution and penalties. During today's hearing, Balderas says he will ask the judge to issue a warrant for Mitchell if he fails to appear in court again.
The state is trying a very different approach in hopes of keeping younger drivers from getting behind the wheel drunk. Take a listen.
If you're drunk,
lit,
wasted,
out with the girls,
hanging with your homies.
The new ad is called Slang Talk and is put together by the state's transportation department. The spot ran statewide the week of St. Patrick's Day and will run again leading up to Cinco de Mayo celebrations. If you want to see the entire NDWI ad, we have it online at KRQE.com. More construction controversy. We're staying on top of the latest on what the city is calling improvements to the bosque, but other groups are calling destructive. The city built a new trail that runs from Central Avenue to I-40. Now the mayor says he would like to extend it even more and have it reach Montaño. Opponents say the trail will ruin the bosque and the habitat. The mayor says the trail keeps people on one path and from wandering off it and ruining the environment.
We're staying on top of the investigation into 4 suspicious bosque fires within 4 hours of each other. The first in the bosque south of Tingley Beach about 1:30 yesterday afternoon.
I noticed like a quiver kind of sound, and I figured maybe like a snake or a little lizard. No, I walked a little closer and then we saw the flames and called 911.
They had it under control in about an hour, but it wasn't long before people fishing at Tingley Beach saw firefighters rushing off to the next one. They responded to 3 separate bosque fires, all in an area south of 8th and Bridge just after 5. AFD won't say if they believe someone individually sparked those fires. If we're seeing dry conditions in the bosque, you're likely seeing those same conditions in your yard.
Yeah, but before you head outside to water your lawn, you'll want to be aware of water restrictions going into effect today. News 13's Catherine Mazzone is live in Southwest Albuquerque with what you need to know this morning. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Crystal. Now, Bernalillo County residents are going to need to be extra vigilant when it comes to tending to their lawn. That's because starting today, they won't be able to use a sprinkler between the hours of 11 and 7. But that could be a good thing. Now, here's why. Now, when you water in the middle of the day, much of that water is going to evaporate anyway. And you don't want to water in the evening either. According to the EPA, that can encourage mold or plant diseases. Instead, you'll want to water your lawn first thing in the early morning. And if you're watering flowers and shrubs too, do it separately from your lawn. If you're using a sprinkler, the county recommends you check it to make sure there aren't any leaks. However, the EPA says you could use about 33% less water using a hose and doing it manually. So the EPA says with the water restrictions, it might be a good idea to lay off using chemical fertilizers. That's because that new growth that fertilizer is going to stimulate is going to need extra water too. Back to you.
All right, thanks for the information, Catherine. Now, here's an interesting tip. One more idea that could save you water. Raise your lawnmower cutting height. Longer grass blades help shade each other, which reduces evaporation and makes it harder for weeds to grow. Turn out to this, a live look over our nation's capital where an oversight committee has issued a subpoena for 2 Secret Service agents.
That subpoena centers around last month's incident involving 2 who allegedly crashed into an active scene at the White House after a night of drinking.
Yeah, this is just another scandal for the embattled agency sworn to protect the President of the United States. This comes after Secret Service Director Joe Clancy refused to make the agents available to testify before the committee. The agents involved have since been reassigned to non-operational positions. This comes just 6 months after a knife-wielding man made it into the White House green room.
Indiana's governor says he wants lawmakers to come up with a fix for the state's controversial religious freedom law by this weekend. Governor Mike Pence says he did not expect the backlash over the law, which critics say allows businesses to withhold services from gay and lesbian people. Arkansas lawmakers passed a similar law on Tuesday, and the governor says he will sign it.
And finally, take a look at this gripping video of a man almost sucked into an open manhole. Cell phone video captures the tense moments right there as the motorcyclist grips on for dear life to avoid being swallowed up. Luckily, the man was able to get himself out, but did end up losing his cell phone, wallet, and his wedding ring. But he is alive to talk about it. How scary would that be?
He was quick thinking, whatever he did there.